So esports will have to counteract, but of course, sometimes certain teams will actually prefer to be on the other side of the spectrum where you get two priority picks at a go.
And it's all kind of like the reactive pick, right? We talk a lot about being on blue side, having the first move, but we have seen scenarios where being on red side actually gives you an edge, and there are certain games where the draft was basically won on that red side first phase, where your first two picks completely shuts down whatever the blue side opponent wants to do. In this case, I think the bans are pretty much going to be the same. Like Joy, Fanny, 1-1, maybe a Faramis, maybe a Kaja. We are not going to stray too far away from that.
Yeah, we're just removing a lot of all these pesky heroes from being overwhelming in terms of pressure across the map, which is why, like, even for Fanny, which you cannot underestimate of how well some of all these players can actually find those ease of access, and it's really hard to catch, especially when you see Kaja being one of all these heroes that has been constantly been banned out, and therefore ALVA Hit didn't really want to go for these kind of risk in terms of what is still left on the table. So second ban will only have 5 more seconds for ALVA 8 to quickly decide. Now, there's still plenty of options available. They opt to ban out the 1-1. We still have a few more things left in the tank, so I'm looking at Edith to be possibly one of those options to be axed out.
Definitely has risen in popularity in the past few play days. We finally see the glue being taken out. One of the few heroes that was completely ignored in game number 1. It was banned in game 1 between Evo and Tiger Wong, but game 2 and 3 was led right through. Well, actually, it wasn't banned.
It was actually picked in all 3 games.
Yeah, in all 3 games, right? Once by Evo and twice by Tiger Wong. ALVA 8, again, right? We have multiple picks. The Kaja now banned out, and Sway now has a choice, right? Edith, Fredrin, the Faramis, which has been popular depending on the teams that are playing in the series.
So it really goes down to this decision where they will be taking out this Moskov.
Okay.
And that actually opens up so much space for them to secure so many of that priority. Look at Fredrin, the Eve is still online, same goes to Valentina.
The Edith.
Melissa is also on the block as well in terms of marksman that's available. And immediately, ALVA 8 starts off with Valentina. We quickly look at the times, 25 times. Teams across the bot has been relying on this hero to make measures. So Sway will really have to be really careful of what kind of heroes they pick, because whatever ultimates that's really huge in AoE can be used against them once again. And Sway Esports decides we're going to lock that Fredrin along with the Brody.
2 ultimates that, if stolen by Valentina, is kind of well, you can take it, but you can't do much with it, right? Both are very reliant on the heroes in a passive ability, so Valentina can't get much use out of both of them. So esports, I was looking at the Brody pick, but I didn't expect it to go through in that first phase. So a lot of priority for Love Scar, and I don't think it's too bad of an idea. It's one of those marksmen that in that late game absolutely destroys squishy heroes once he gets that ultimate off. But ALVA 8 building up that meat, that shield with both the Grok and the Martis.
Yeah, this is where you have very solid front line of defense, where you just allow Valentina to have her very own space, and then later on go for a pickoff. So esports wants to emulate the previous series where you are going up against a little bit more a high pressure situation, and this Kadita could still get in and out of the fights very effectively. So, and Barbiichi would still look to burst them all down at the same time. Now, let's move forward to the second phase of picks as well as bans. A lot of all these focus will be given in terms of priority for Sway Esports to remove even more marksmen on the block. So ALVA 8 will possibly look to at least open up a little bit more spacing to secure something good for themselves. But what are options available? I'm looking at Melissa being one of it.
Yeah, Melissa is a good, the Beatrix as well. I think these are the 2 that comes to mind instantaneously. Maybe you force ALVA 8 back down to the carry, which has fallen out of meta, at least in this tournament itself. I think carry was picked 2 times, and even then I think one of them was a loss, if memory serves. But I do, one of the concerns moving into the second pick phase, as we see Carry get banned out, is the draft of ALVA 8 so far aren't too worried isn't too worried about Fredrin. One of Fredrin's biggest weakness, despite him having this meat shoot, this big ultimate that destroys the health bar, is that he is very easily interrupted. Rock interrupts him, Valentina is not too worried because you have a fear and you have a terrorize and you get to dash away from him, and Martis completely ignores your crowd control, and Fredrin wants to be able to stand still and get that ultimate off and get those combo points, those taunts, but if you're constantly moving around and ignoring what he wants to do, it makes life a bit tougher for this Fredrin to pop off.
ALVA 8 targeting a little bit more of a roaming potential, and you don't want to see any disruptive feeding the around the map itself.
You
so
don't even want an ultimate, right?
Yeah, especially the ultimate being so effective for them to just remove every single crowd control. So they leave not any chance, and they've even been able to actually single out another side laner with the final ban.
Okay, they actually banned the Benedetta. I did not expect that to be a choice from Sway. I thought that they would commit to a marksman ban. By banning this Benedetta, it definitely is kind of a odd one. Though
Yeah.
I can't see the reasoning behind it. I think you don't want someone that is just faster in that XP lane and just outmaneuvers your XP lane. And Benedetta is one of those heroes that doesn't necessarily do the most damage, but she is just essentially faster by nature.
And I guess like in the nature of Benedetta as well, there's a potential for you for ALVA 8 to come in with split pushing, which is what Benedetta is so effective on, where you don't always have to join in a team fight. You just slowly dwindle down the resources, take some space, and later on go in for some executions coming for a flank angle. So now both sides really have to think very, very carefully what they really want. And I guess this makes a whole lot more sense where you're actually opening up a little bit more room for this Lapu Lapu to take charge.
One of the few XP laners that is just very dominant. You know, you can hardly go wrong with Lapu Lapu. And the focus has been on, you know, some XP laners, some mid laners, a bit of a mixed bag in terms of the second phase ban. This does open up a potential Yuzhong for ALVA 8 if they want to go for it. Another hero that kind of just ignores the Fredrin. You go into the Black Dragon form, you access the backline, and you're like, yeah, Fredrin, you can't taunt me, you cannot get that combo point up. And it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Sway Esports, I think. For ALVA 8, we're looking at probably the Yuzhong. I feel like that's probably the best. All the Edith, right? It's either or.
That's right. So really is tough decisions to be made, but they should be able to go in for this. And whoa, my goodness, we haven't seen this for a while.
First, I think this Harry has been picked 4 times, but it's the first time that we see Harry on broadcast, right? The rest have been played off screen.
Only 4 times.
Only 4 times. Definitely not the one that I was expecting. But Xavier comes through for Sway Esports. We know final pick for ALVA 8 is that Ruby, so we get a Ruby XP lane, I think. Though I remember that there was one team that played a Grok XP lane. I'm not sure if it was ALVA 8, but there is a possibility.
Yeah, and overall, I guess it really goes to how they really want to juggle this, but I still think that this Grok is just going to be roaming around, or you could basically interchange roles as well, right? Like, preferably you want this Ruby to be able to be as beefy as you can, and then you will be able to open up a little bit more spacing for this Martis to look for those picks. Whereas, I'm just really surprised that this Xavier pick was being left out in the open the whole time, and Break Even has been able to secure that for the team.
There's not much Xavier that has been picked, at least on screen, but it's one of those majors where if you can get to the late game, you get those core items up, you get your Divine Glaive, your Lightning Truncheon, suddenly that Darling Light just completely shreds health bar. Game 1, this second lower bracket elimination series for the day. It's going to be ALVA 8 against Sway Esports. Once more, all eyes are on that mid lane, and you know it's very normal as a Xavier that you get kind of pushed out by a lot of these, you know, popular mid laners. He's just gonna take the punishment. It's all about being able to clear out the wave. Elira cutting him off from XP and cutting him off from gold. I can expect it if you're a Xavier. It's just a Xavier thing, you know.
Yeah, and I just love that he has the brand new skin line as well with the Jujutsu Kaisen collaboration. Possibly the most OP skin.
That is actually my favorite skin out of the entire collaboration, right? There's 4 of them.
Gojo.
Yeah, my favorite. I feel like, you know, in my humble opinion, it does match the hero the most. It's like the most accurate representation, right? You just happen to have a very powerful mage that can blast the entire map, and Goju kind of does that.
That's true, and we'll definitely have to see when does he unleash his full potential, though. Barbie just pressing on the engagements where won't be able to actually get too much out of all these scuffle with majority of all these ALVA 8 members rotating all across the map just to ensure this smooth cruise for Cian to take center stage later on. Whereas Aaron Shiki, we really want to see how long does it take for this Harif to be activated, and it comes down to, of course, a team fight where, you know, it's been a couple of patches where we see, you know, slight buffs and adjustments as well as nerfs onto this specific hero. It was, I could dare say that Harif is a shadow of his former self since, you know, many years back, where it was just rampant across most of all these games. In competitive, it really takes a lot of skills for you to pilot this hero and be effective.
Running Light used to chip away some of those health bars, but the turtle is still going down. Horosky jumping in, Chieftain Rages as well. Cannot secure the turtle. That one goes over to ALVA. A first blood claim by Break Even. And even gets a double, a 1+1 on the way out. This is a roaming Kadena, by the way, with a Petrify.
That is so much damage coming from a roamer itself. And I guess like now I start to understand why Sway Esports decided to actually flex this Kadena role and then eventually open up a little bit more room for Barbie Chi to secure the Savior instead.
Yeah.
Now, every single member does have plenty of DPS as well as burst damage to offer.
Once you get caught by the circle from this Xavier, you just instantly die. I mean, they can power on you from miles away. And you know, this is something that we did set a bit of expectation for coming into the series, where both teams have their own niche pick. You know, we get that XP Grok, we get this roaming Kadita, Vinsmo almost losing his life again to Break Even.
Things are looking really worrying. I mean, that's the damage that they all dish upon a Ruby, and what more if you get a huge pick onto this Harib. Zapping Force already being utilized as just Aaron Shiki trying to get his way around this, being outnumbered for the time being, but the rest of ALVA 8 is at least matching up to the tempo. Despite having 2 picks, ALVA 8 is actually keeping the goal disparity really, really close, and in fact now it's overtaken by, you know, small little numbers, which will be exchanged within due course. As for the record, the rest of Sway Esports are currently looking for an opening against Ben.
And it's just a bait from Sway, but unfortunately, he's gonna go down anyways. Break Even cannot find the right angle. Target was just out of reach, and ALVA 8 punishes them.
Great retaliation. The way that they've been able to hold out into all these corners of brush, just having the longest of setup. Sway Esports just feeling a little bit of an itch to really go in for an attack, especially when you are going up against Ruby. It will take a while for you to burst, and this is where ALVA 8 finds themselves the very first turret, evens up the kill numbers, and eventually giving a little bit more space for the rest of Sway Esports to try to secure a turtle of their own. That will be retreat by the Fredrin. Krebs will be able to move out of the way. Just trying to tease Binspoke a little bit more to try to see if they could set this Ruby up.
As a Fredrin, there's so much factors on the side of ALVA 8 that really disrupts you. It's hard to catch the Harif. He even has to Purify in case he gets taunted. Everyone else on ALVA 8 can really disrupt the Fredrin. And you know, the longer it takes for him to charge up his combo, enough combo points for that ultimate, the lesser durability he has in these fights. You know, and that's kind of the usage of a Fredrin, right? You soak up damage and you return the favor with that Appraisal Wrath, but getting it off has certain very specific conditions. So Sway Esports, they get the turtle, but they aren't able to convert that into much.
Yeah. They're just jostling for a lot more control. Vinspoke now being spotted out by Barbie Chi. It's only going to be tickling him ever so slightly, though. Whereas Sway Esports couldn't really shove any form of waves. The only area of play that they do have is from Horosky that's all along over onto the EXE side. And
they used the Conceal into the rush as well. Expecting to find someone, but they didn't. defense is coming through though from Sway. Daunting Light use, chipping their health bar. And Tier 1 is dead. And again, Cab just crowd control to Oblivion, decimated by Zian. Just again, cannot get it out of.
Such a dangerous position coming from Break Even, where he's being forced to use the ultimate to actually get out of the way as well. And Kev's, I think he has been spotted out for far too long as well. They suspected Kev's to be around, and ALVA 8 just overwhelmed them so quickly, and also got the turret in return. And they're just scaling off the charts right now, having the levels advantage as well. We're already seeing a level 10 member to be dealt with. CN might actually be out of control if Sway Esports does not punish him for this. Turtle up online. Rest of Sway Esports hoping to actually find a little bit of wiggle room. Whereas ALVA 8, they've got position and they're looking for Cavs.
Turtle very much secured by ALVA 8. Cavs can't even get into the fight, let alone near the turtle pit. And all while, you know, Jirachi, this is a damaged Grok. At Break Even, I'm not really sure if you want to challenge this Grok head on. He's gone. Never feels good if you get destroyed by a Grok like this. He has the Blade of Despair.
Yeah, I was just about to point out, Blade of Despair Grok, like, you expect him to be going for a tank? No way, he's just gonna go in for the full burst, and Aaron Shiki is gonna be able to do the same, coming with a dive with his Amon Force committed. No waves in particular, ALVA 8 will still have to wait, whereas Cavs will have a little bit of wiggle room to go in for a reset, and after that, Sway Esports will try to recommit. But just look at how Windsmoke is being a little bit more optimistic as they're going to be focused on given finds a kill.
Very well done, but they did have to give up that mid-tier 1. At the end of the day, you sacrifice Windsmoke, you get that last tier 1 turret, 4K goal advantage. Cavs has not been able to do anything. Like, he's the only proper front line for Sway, but he has been disrupted time and time again. Now Sway has to kind of figure a way, you know, you need Break Even to maybe rush in with a tighter form and get a good Petrify into a taunt from Cavs. Easier said than done though.
Yeah, and that's coming up within 40 seconds or so, so you won't be expecting Sway Esports to be able to always look for that opening, and Break Even now currently in trouble. Yeah, got the title form at least.
Thank goodness. If he gets swiped by Jirachi's totem, he just dies instantly.
Ooh, very, very risky plays coming out of Sway Esports, but they're holding on. It's about 5,000 of a deficit at the moment. Sway is just looking for an overextension coming from ALVA 8, but this coordination coming from ALVA 8 just slowly bleeding out resources, hijacking every single camp that they have inside the jungle, is just leaving Sway with not much gold to work with, not much EXP, and they also could basically play around this lord that's already online. Whereas now they do have Love Scars hoping to find a breach into securing a turret of their own, but the Grok is in the way. And by now, I'm thinking, like, if I could look into the items, Jirachi can just burst it off. Lord in favor of ALVA.
Good attempt, Barbie G. You know, if there was no retry, I think that would have been a steal. Good news for Sway Esports is that Love Scar hasn't died once. You know, he's just got that Blade of Despair. So there is some chance, right? That burst damage is going to rack up as the game progresses. The question is, can they hold on? Well,
what on earth?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Oh boy, Jirachi just cheesing everybody off with this Grok, and
this guy does almost 2.5k damage on the creep wave, on the medium wave with one swing.
He's got the title form, and even so, if you get out of the title form, like the unstoppable force, just charge through. I feel like there's just gonna be too much of an overwhelming pressure for Sway Esports. They may have to give this inhibitor away, but they will be able to rectify that off. So good news, they still cling on to their inhibitors for the time being.
They now have the full team back, but
Short swing.
They will lose all of that. Tier 2, bottom wave still pushing in. You can see Cavs going for the anti-Cuirass as well. Still, but he needs that magical defense, and this bottom inhibitor is gone. Zian just walks right in. Cavs taunted, pull back, forced to dash backwards. ALVA 8 just flickers into a knockoff. This is done and dusted. 11 minutes in, there's no chance for Sway to make a comeback. Not really a bloody game unless Hiroshi can hold on, but ALVA A still has 4 men alive. He just heads straight for the crystal. And 11.5 minutes in, ALVA 8 with game number 1. Dominant statement in this lower bracket series.
What a fight they put up with, and you just look at how they just slowly put a firm chokehold onto the members of Sway Esports. Little by little, with those advantages, they have been able to thrive and just basically make their way in, especially having such a great setup with every wave crashing out. And ALVA 8 now propels their way forward, 1 point up in the series.
And ALVA 8 just